Is it this road?
This is the next one.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a cloudy and rain-threatening afternoon here on the Rietspruit Game Reserve. I am Gareth Nuddlesmith, and on camera this afternoon I have Andrew, and in FC we have Victoria. We've shot along the fence line, and we're going to go and trundle along Skellum Savannah and work around the deep slit this afternoon. See what we can find. I hope you are all doing very well this afternoon. It has been a hot day, like the last few days. Nothing's really changed until this afternoon. The clouds came piling in at about 4 o'clock. There is some lightning and thunder on the Drakensberg. That's kind of just a little bit of a warning that the potential threat of rain is around, but we will do our best to get you 2 hours of an African safari.
We're going to do a rain dance.
A rain dance. I don't want to break the internet.
Don't want to go viral.
This is a nice little area in the reserve that I only recently found before I went on leave. Not that it's an unknown part of the reserve, I just didn't really drive here too much. Only, I think the week before I went on leave did I start driving here, and I thought it was quite pretty. I thought I should decide, well, I thought I should come and do a bit of driving in this area and see what it's about, since it was a part of the reserve that I hadn't explored too much, and it was a rewarding experience. It was, I don't know what's going on. The car was shuddering this morning and this afternoon. We're having a bit of an episode there.
It's a dung beetle.
Oh, the dung beetle.
Yeah.
Yo, I thought I saw a head disappear there. I thought maybe it was a burrow. So the dung beetles are out in full force, as are most insects at the moment. You can see them all here. They are in what looks like a rhino midden. It looks like there's a couple of scrapes, a territorial male doing a bit of a scent marking patrol potentially. Last night we did have some rain. We had 5 millimeters and a lot more lightning and thunder. We had quite a big electrical storm, and not a lot of water fell from the skies, but probably enough to wash away scent from territorial animals such as rhinos. So this looks like it's pretty fresh, especially that piece of dung that all of those flies are on and dung beetles are on. Look at it, just a hive of activity. To all of our pack members, welcome, and to everybody that's watching on the public channel, welcome to this afternoon safari. To our pack members, Carol, Ariana, Elsa, Bob, Mary, Becky, Jennifer, Connie, Brian. Hi and welcome. So good to be back. I am back from leave, got back on Wednesday night after a short break. Well, 2 weeks isn't really a short break, but after a 10-week stint, 2 weeks feels quite short, but it was rewarding. And it was really pleasant to be on leave. Victoria and I went down to the coast of KwaZulu-Natal and we had a nice restful time along the seaside. We thought it was time to have a bit of a break from the African bush. Oh no, Carol. Maybe we need to see if we can find a way to get your bird lists back. Or we have to just start getting some birds. Never nice when you lose a lot of hard work like that. But let's see, maybe we can get some few birds this afternoon. Oh, listen out. Hello, Alex from Ariana. All right, the dung beetles are all busy. Let's go a little bit closer. I want to see what I saw. I don't know what I saw when I came here. Maybe a piece of dung rolling down. Rolling down the hill. I want to see. So when I did come down here the other day, this one doesn't really look like it. I saw a lot of sign in rhino middens like that of black rhino. And I want to see if we can find some of those middens, see if there's any activity from black rhinos in this area. Who knows, maybe we get lucky and find a black rhino. That would be quite exciting. But this doesn't look like it's black rhino, not that fresh stuff. Maybe it's a white rhino bull that's moved into this area.
One my daughter, one my father. We're going right here on the southern fence line. It looks like they're not far from Mamba Dam, eh? But on Mamba Dam itself, I didn't book anything. So I went from off part all the way to Hay, then on the southern fence line. And then I picked up the track here. They on the western side of Mamba Dam, but they're heading east along the fence line.
Oh, I got it.
Okay,
Lion.
I'm currently here on Rietspruit Dam. I'm gonna pause a little bit, and then afterwards I'll go and see the park.
That first Zodiac area on Seskan site.
Call that boy. Yeah, I'm gonna pause there by Leopard Dam. I think they might just be maybe somewhere on the inflow of Mamba Dam from the fence line itself, right? Copy that for. Thank you for that update. That's too much air.
All right. This morning there were tracks of lions, were not called in, but we chatted to one of the kaya guides and he said coming down the eastern fence line, but they checked around Mamba Dam this morning and didn't find it. This little acacia is growing right up in the middle of the road. And they couldn't find anything, so Andrew and I thought maybe we should come and have a look on the western fence line, because that's what they do sometimes. They do these big loops. Last night they were at Lodge Pan on Leadwood, and then their tracks came all the way down the eastern fence line and they weren't found this morning. Now they're calling in tracks that are maybe going back east on the southern fence line around Mamba Dam. So we'll see what the afternoon has in store for us. Just explore this. Oh, there's a baby impala. Oh, why the road like this? It ran away. No, there's mom. So as we went behind some trees, I saw a baby impala, but it's ducked. So that's a new impala for sort of the southern parts of the reserve. That's exciting. Maybe we'll see more in this area. I was just down in the road up ahead here, and it's run off to the east, and its mom followed soon after it. So yeah, Andrew and I thought maybe we'd come and check up here and see if they've maybe done a big loop and ended up Skellum Savannah, along the deep slit, maybe up to Pofada Dam. But if they're going back east on the southern fence line, that's not promising for our idea. But the other idea is Mabaibai and her baby haven't been seen for a couple of days, to my knowledge. And I feel like when they don't get seen for a few days, they come down into these areas, which aren't driven that much. So maybe we'll find Mabaibai and her cub. And while we're here, we'll just keep an eye out for black rhinos, and I'll try and show you signs of black rhino from their middens. I'll point that out if we find any fresh black rhino middens. It has thickened up through here quite a lot since I last drove here just before going on leave 2 weeks ago. It was kind of short grass through this whole area. Here's one of these rhino middens. It doesn't look like it's been used recently, but let me just go and scratch around in there like a spur fowl and see if there are any of these indicators of it being black rhino dung. Yeah, this is a black rhino midden. So if you look in all of this in the midden, this is all dung and there's nothing too fresh in here at the moment. But you can see I'm picking up all these big pieces of sticks. There's quite a lot of them. So definitely black rhino. And for all of you at home, why would this be a black rhino midden and not a white rhino midden? How can I tell that just by looking at what's inside it? It's a pretty easy question for those of you that have been around for a while, but maybe you're new. A little bit of a test. But have a look at all of these. These are just sticks that I'm pulling out of the dung there, and all a couple of different sizes. And you can see where the rhino took the bite and sheared these off. And I can't find a really good example because it's not too fresh, but generally due to the structure of a black rhino's teeth, these cuts are at 45 degrees to the rest of the stick. So you can see that one, I'm holding it straight up, and that is about 45 degrees, and that's quite a good indicator that it's black rhino dung. And these black rhino middens along here. So that's what I noticed 3 weeks ago. And maybe after last night's rain, we'll find a black rhino that's out and about trying to mark his territory. There's nothing fresh on all these there. It seems like it's maybe a boundary that hasn't been used for a while by black rhinos. But you can see there were no dung beetles, there was no fresh dung compared to the first midden that we came across. So that 45-degree cut on the stick is a unique characteristic to black rhinos. So everybody's getting it right. The sticks are chewed, 45-degree angles. What my intention was that there's sticks in the diet because a black rhino is a browser and a white rhino is a grazer. So we see sticks in the dung, and a lot of sticks with that characteristic 45-degree angle. How great would a black rhino be? First time I'd put it on live, and the first time I can confirm a black rhino. I was on a drive with Victoria once and we think we saw a black rhino, but it was a bum running through the trees, so it wasn't easy to see. So I'm still waiting for my first confirmed black rhino on the Rietspruit. And I'm really hoping that I can continue the good form from yesterday afternoon's Zoom drive that we had on my first drive back from leave. Anything fresh in this midden? It doesn't look like it. Pretty old, all dried material. You wouldn't even think that that's a whole lot of rhino dung. It looks like sawdust, yeah. Yesterday afternoon, first day back, we were taking it easy. We went around to Sequoia Dam on our private Zoom drive. No real plan other than to get there and then kind of decide where we were going to go. And wow, were we treated. We saw the two cheetah boys just strolling along next to the dam. We've been sitting there talking about water for about 5 minutes, and then these two walked into our sighting rather than the other way around. And they proceeded to go and chase a kudu and her calf, and they ended up catching the baby next to the dam. So we watched the whole thing from start to finish. But it was more of a, like, I don't know, first drive back, great experience. There are some zebras here that I'm hoping we can see if we get a gap, but we're not really getting many gaps here. It's thickened up a little bit here along Skellum's.
Connected, you should have picture now.
You should have picture. There we go. Sorry about that little short disruption. But here is a woodland kingfisher. There's two of them there, and there's one a little bit further up. Look at it, displaying. Beautiful birds. First ones I've seen on Rietspruit. First ones for me in the season, which is lovely. It's always nice to get the first woodland kingfisher. It's often a competition.
Just know I won that competition.
Did you win it?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I put the woodlands on.
First?
Yeah. You guys were on leave.
That's an unfair advantage, huh?
You say unfair. It's a disadvantage.
That call is so typical of the Lowveld at this time of the year. There's still two there, only one flew away, huh?
No, I think both did. I think it's just the one left.
So all of our migrant bird species that grace us in our summer months, the woodland kingfisher is often sort of one of the latter species to come down south. They are one of our inter-African breeding migrants to southern Africa, and a very common bird when they do arrive. You would do well to go on a couple of drives in a Lowveld park and not come across them in summer. But like I said, they often come here quite late in the season compared to other species of migrants. I always find that they kind of only really arrive maybe end of November, December. And some of our migrant species like the European bee-eaters or the Wahlberg's eagles, they tend to kind of be the first to arrive back. And that's kind of sometimes in September, beginning of October. And then the cuckoo slowly come in, and the woodland kingfisher. Then often the last one that I see in my experience has been the European roller. They kind of late to the party and getting back. So yeah, one of our inter-African migrants, they go up into sort of North Africa north of the equator for our winters. Onto Ethiopia, but they do avoid the very arid areas. They prefer more savanna kind of systems. So it's great to get it. Carol, you've got a new bird for your list. Sorry, I've also got a new bird for my list. What is this in the tree next to us? There's a big marula tree next to us, and I've seen a light shade of, it's a broken branch. I knew not to get too excited. I'll pull forward a bit for Andrew and he can put it on screen. He must start really wide and he can maybe see. You see on the other side of the marula, there's that light brown color at the top there. Can you see that? Is that pushing it?
Yeah, just point for me.
On the branch. I must carry my laser pointer.
Point for me.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So if you stop there, that little brown there, I just kind of got a look at that and I thought, oh, maybe that is an impala there in a marula tree. Suspicious.
Like that.
And then when I put my binos on it, I quickly realized that it's just a broken branch. These are the kind of things that we're looking for as guides when we drive around, just these differences in colors. And when you're at a distance, the camera kind of zooms in quite nicely so that you can see it. But when you're a little bit further back and you first see it with the naked eye, maybe as Andrew comes back here, you can kind of see. If you kind of just first see that, you think, well, maybe it's a leg or half an impala in the fork of a tree. It's a good place. But it's not. And it's more often than not an impala. But you got to check it nonetheless, because that could be a really good indication that there's a spotty cat around. Yeah, Carol, it's a really cool bird to be number one on your list. But I don't know, do we have to see the birds, or can we assume birds that we have previously seen? Like a laughing dove, or a hardy-dar, a ringneck dove, Cape turtle dove, the old name? Or do you want to try and find them all again and we start right from the beginning? Because I think there's some of the common regulars that maybe we can get away with saying you've got them, that you can remember that were definitely on your old list, because they're still birds that you've seen. So I wouldn't have a problem with you just saying I've seen that. In other news, quickly, there are a few raindrops starting to fall. Felt 3 or 4 drops here on my hands. Whoa! Elephants causing a bit of chaos here, pushing some thorn trees into Andrew's knee. Yeah. You want me to stop? So just bear that in mind, it is getting dark, and there are a few drops. We'll see how far we can go. But last night we were treated to an amazing electrical storm, and it was really nice when it was at a distance at the end of our Zoom drive. And as it rolled in, it started from a way off, and then it ended up right above our heads in haste, and we lost power and we lost fans, and it was really hot. And it wasn't as enjoyable when it was directly above us, keeping us up at night. Oh yeah. Andrew is just saying we should put some camera traps along the Antioch Sluit there at some point, and I tend to agree with him. I think it's a great spot. We know that the Antioch female spent some time in this area. Sorry, I'm not used to talking so much after leave. Yeah, those marula trees would be a great spot to have a leopard dangling all the limbs, dangling limbs. Because there's 2 right next to each other, and they're beautiful trees, beautiful marulas. That's everybody's dream, is to have a leopard in a tree like that. It's an unbroken kind of, I wonder, see these, it's also pretty old, more black rhino middens, but nothing fresh. The termites have eaten most of the ball of dung that's there, so it's not fresh at all. But yeah, everybody's dream is to, what is that? Something, there's kingfishers. Oh, there's a roller. What is it? This is a European roller. Let's see with the color. It is. It is. European roller. Carol, your new list is getting off to a wild start. That is a bird, everybody. We're just talking about you, always. Being a late arriver to the party, but it's so good to see a European roller. Oh, and it is gone, but super special to see a European roller. Yeah, earlier. It feels like it's a bit early for them, but as migrants come, they should be here at this time of the year. But what I'm used to seeing over the last 4, 5, 6 years working in the Lowveld is they are often the ones that are last to arrive. So that's really cool. Just after the woodland kingfishers. It's not too bad. And I'm hearing all of the cuckoos at the moment. So I think everybody's made it back to southern Africa, the Lowveld in particular. This is a beautiful stretch. So when I first drove here along the Antioch Sloot, I just thought this is great. No wonder the Antioch female spends some time along here. And I had great plans to set up some camera traps and spots that I had identified when I was first here. So I think sometime soon we need to come and bring the camera traps out here and leave them. All 3 of them that we have. We've only got 3, hey Andrew?
Yeah, maybe we should do it when we so that we can still keep footage.
Yeah, I think it'd be really good to put 3 along here and see if we get activity. This is just ideal for leopard. There's a couple of game trails that come through a spot like this. Just while we're talking about it, you can see behind me. So through this area, a game trail moving through a riverbed like that would be perfect for a camera trap, because you're going to get animals funneled down the game trail, and then you've got animals moving down, or well, up or down the game trail, and then the same with the drainage line. So you kind of maximize your chances of seeing things. So you always want to use roads, drainage lines, prominent game trails to set up camera traps, because it increases your odds of, or your capture rates, especially if you're targeting species like predators that we know like to walk on roads, game trails, in drainage lines. But this little stretch here is really pretty, and I'll show you a spot on the other side when it opens up a little bit that I think will just make an absolutely stunning camera trap photograph if we were to get something interesting walking past. So it's this little stretch here. There's lots of water. Oh, look at all these weaver nests here. Quite a, I'm going to try and swing for you. Put the, there we go. Make it a bit easier for Andrew here. An often common sight here. So often you find weavers building their nests above water sources, dangling down. Bit of an anti-predator type attempt. So there's a colony of weavers that have been building their nests here, and this is really typical to see above water. And this is a nice little deep section clearly in the Antioch Sloot where the water has pooled. You can see the water's not moving at all. It's still, there's no flow here whatsoever. So this is a bit of a deep section, a pool that's formed. And it's actually quite long, but it makes for an interesting scene. And you can see all of those leaves that are in the water there below the weaver nests. The weavers stripping the leaves off the tree potentially to make space to build their nests, or just trying to have some padding and some lining material for the actual inside of the nest, and maybe some of them have been discarded and dropped into the watercourse. But that's pretty cool. But it was along here that I was driving, and I thought, and we'll show you now, we're going to get to the spot that I thought would make an excellent camera trap to get some interesting photographs of animals walking by. And I just thought if you could get something like a lion or a leopard, or maybe even the cheetah walking through here, maybe, I mean, some of your meso carnivores could be quite interesting shots, and the elephants have definitely broken the tree that I would have used. How's that? Elephants, classic. But sorry, I need to get out of the way here, just the nature of the road. But if we were to try and set up a camera trap somewhere along here, maybe zoom out a little bit. I need a duck. You got the water. We've got this tree that we could put a camera trap on facing this one that the elephants have broken recently, because this is also used as a rubbing post. Then you've got these couple of trees over here that make an interesting scene. You've got this game trail that runs along the edge of the drainage line with this water. So you could get some really interesting photographs of if you had animals walking down the game trail all the way from the rocks that are in line with my finger on that game trail, coming down this path, that maybe coming to drink here at this open section. It's a lot easier for animals to come and drink from here. Maybe that tree is an option to put a camera on, this tree to face this way. I think it would be a really interesting spot to see what you could capture. You also don't have a lot of disturbance in this area of vegetation triggering the camera all the time. And because of it's been open, the rubbing post, it's clearly a spot where animals will come and drink from this section. And I just think the scene behind the photograph, the landscape in which animals will move, would be quite an interesting photograph. So here's another spot that we should keep in mind if we do come here with some camera traps. Although we've got to be careful, if you look in the road in front of us, there's a big tree that's been pushed over by elephants recently. The tree next to us has also been pushed over by elephants recently. And elephants tend to destroy camera traps quite a lot, so we'd have to be a little bit careful in where we would position camera traps. But I think this is a beautiful scene. If we could figure out how to put a camera on this side with a long range, it could also be really pretty for getting side-on photographs of animals walking on that side of the water in the foreground, or even coming to have a drink. I think it's a great spot. It would be beautiful to have a spotty cat there on that bare soiled section around that rubbing post. Okay, I just got to navigate with these. What trees are these that have been pushed over here? So you can actually see the roots here where elephants have been feeding, stripping the outer bark off of the roots and the lower branches. So let me get out just so I can illustrate a little bit. These are all roots that the elephants have ripped out of the ground when they've pushed these trees over, and then using their foot they've kicked them up. But you can see what they've done here is they've stripped the external bark and got the cambium layer, and here's a root that they didn't actually get, and you can see that color difference where the elephants haven't stripped everything. So if you look at that, there are some roots here that the elephants didn't eat, but what they're basically doing is just getting rid of that outer layer, and you can see you got that inside color still. I wonder why they didn't take a fancy in this one. But that's what elephants are doing, especially at the end of the dry season. You hear something?
Monkeys.
Monkeys? The elephants.
Oh no. Sounded like a monkey. Could be ellies as well.
It might be elephants breaking trees. I can understand why you thought maybe monkey while I was talking and you got the headphones on. So there, just a quick example. Here's another one where elephants have stripped half of the outside bark off like that, and they've got the cambium. But maybe we've stumbled upon the elephants here. This isn't really fresh, or too fresh. The rain last night. Maybe elephants are breaking trees a little bit down here. Let's go see. Scene is just to the right with that water that we're looking at. Quite a pretty scene. Okay, let's see. It sounds like elephants breaking branches, so maybe. I know this morning there was a bull that went west from Seskant Krip towards the deep slit, so maybe he's around here. Let's see if I need to go into 4x4, otherwise I might lose Andrew. Come on. There we go. Taking a while to get into gear there. We might just, now that we've got up here, just drive a little further down. There's a bit of a clearing that comes up ahead of us. Yo, they're pushing all of these trees down. Look, there's another one that's down in front of us here. There's a herd of Impala. You see these Impala from a distance walking away from us. Maybe we'll hear the elephant again. If it is an elephant. But beautiful to get some Impalas. They look like well, the females amongst this herd. Sorry, I was just listening when I paused like that. I thought I heard something off to our left. Don't look like they've given birth yet. I can't see any little lambs in the herd. They still do look pregnant from what I've seen. Okay, while we've got the Impalas there, I'm just going to listen for a while. They're going to sit quietly and listen. I thought I heard maybe some baboons, but maybe quite far off. You hear that?
But like high pitched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the quickest way? Where's that? Is that in the deep slit?
Around the tree and go left when there's the first left turn.
So it sounds like there might be a baboon calling. Oh.
There we go.
Oh. Oh. Now the Impalas. There's definitely a baboon calling up ahead. The Impalas are there's something moving around here, eh? Definitely. Impalas are alarm calling, but they might be looking in our direction. Let's just go up towards them and see if they are looking at anything. If there's a predator, they're going to be distracted by the predator and not really focused on us too much. But there's baboons. It sounds like alarm calling further up. But these Impala have just started alarm calling. I just want to figure out if they're looking at us or if they're looking in any other particular direction. Only a few of them, not the whole herd yet. So maybe it is like I feel like it is a bit of a false alarm call, but sometimes the herd's like, oh whatever, you haven't seen anything, and one or two of them alarm call because they actually have seen it. I've seen it with lions and leopards with Impalas. One or two alarm call and the rest ignore it, and then next thing you know, it's a bit of chaos. But I think we need to get to those baboons because they're still going. Okay everybody, it's lovely to get some good Impalas, but let's make our way towards where these baboons are calling. The Impalas, I think, maybe have just got a bit spooked by us or something. Not all of them have erupted into alarm calls. Is this a road?
Yeah.
Oh, the elephants have. Looks like the elephants really have been spending some time in this area. Try and not impale Andrea here with thorns, or myself in the process. And it's always thorn trees that they knock down, isn't it? Lots of them. This area is going to get quite nice and open with all the ellie activity here. Oh, termites building their mounds in the middle of the road. I go around that. This is a beautiful area, and if the elephants are spending some good time here, it could be really interesting how it opens up with time. Because they have removed a few of the big trees. Now we are making our way down towards the deep slit, so hopefully our signal maintains with the cloud cover and the thicker vegetation down here. This is where these baboons are alarm calling. Right in here, look, eh? It's only like, it sounds like maybe one young one. Earlier there were a couple more. Let's drop down into the drainage line here and see. The problem with baboons is they might call for a long time after something's moved through, especially since there's not a lot of them calling. It just seems to be one individual, but you never know. What's that? Oh, Impala. Impala got a bit of a fright. Can you... It's already so dark. Sure. There's more baboons in these trees ahead of us. It's quite open here along the deep slits, so maybe we'll maintain stream quite nicely. Let's just drive it a bit and have a look, see if we get any track signs on the softer sand. After last night's rain, the roads are a little bit hard and it's harder to see the soft marks that a leopard would leave on a hard road, but in the drainage line here it would be pretty easy to see. There's lots of baboon tracks, as we'd expect with the presence of them calling in the trees. I wonder if it's some internal politics playing out rather than them having seen a predator. I feel like that's what's happening here.
Do you see any of them?
Mm-mm. At the back there. I can just see movement every now and again. Everybody's commenting, chant leopard, leopard, it has to be. Let's we believe in spots. You know, the current conditions are perfect. There's more chatting behind us, eh? I think this is more, yeah, internal politics amongst the baboons here that we can't see in the trees, rather than an alarm call. From a distance it sounded more like a bah. But it's dark already, it's cloudy, it's cooled off quite nicely, and with a little bit of rain last night, something like a leopard might be walking around, scent marking. It wouldn't be unusual with how dark it is. Jennifer is asking, approximately how many times have leopards been caught on the reserve cams? I'm not entirely sure of that answer, Jennifer. We don't necessarily have reserve camera traps set up constantly around the reserve. We have a couple that we go and set out randomly every now and again, and maybe we get lucky with leopard from time to time on them. And then I know some of the Rhino Revolution, for example, they have a whole lot of camera traps that they use to monitor rhinos. There's baboons. Look at the top of that leadwood. Quick to get out a shot. Is there one that looks like a broken branch? The baboons that were sitting there have disappeared. There's one on the sort of middle part. Coming down the middle of the trunk, kind of midway in the gap there. Yeah. There we go. There's a younger one moving across, maybe a female. They didn't really want to be on camera, clearly. But if I get back to my answer on the cameras, Rhino Revolution have a whole lot set up, especially at water points, and there's a whole lot of homeowners that also have camera traps that maybe they put at little water holes, or they put at water holes near their house, or on a tree near their house, on a game trail. And I don't actually think that the numbers of photographs of leopards in particular are recorded in any way that we can measure. But we're not short of leopards on the Rietspruit Game Reserve. There's often sightings of leopard, and when I say often, maybe 2 or 3 a week, but it's often one person sees a leopard before it moves off, and we see tracks quite a lot. We hear leopards when we're on drive. We've heard leopards at Haste quite a bit. Andrew often hears them with his tent where it is. It's nice because you can hear the sounds of the bush really nicely through the tents, and he can hear it in the Deep Sloot River are quite often calling. So it's not that we don't have leopard on Rietspruit, it's just that they're shy. They are keeping to character, keeping that elusive nature that leopards sort of are known for, most across their range. Elusive, secretive, a sort of cat of the night, cat of the shadows. To see a leopard is really special. Social media these days, however, gives a bit of a false sense of how relaxed leopards really are. There are a few destinations in Africa that are exceptional at viewing leopards, and they have more regular sightings. Sabi Sands is a really good example of that, where there's just prolific leopard viewing. And that's the nature of that system. High leopard densities, one of the highest in the world. It's around 12 individuals per 100 square kilometers. And that area has been used for game viewing for 60 years as a photographic destination. So animals have just got relaxed with the vehicles, and it's generational. So many generations have been viewed, and now you're watching cubs from when they're 6 weeks old. They're just used to the presence of vehicles. Whereas in environments like this, you've got different land use types. We've got citrus and agriculture. We've also got different types of game reserves. We've got human settlements and development. So leopards have been, and big apex predators in general are the ones that mostly get persecuted because they're killing livestock, they pose a threat to human life. So when there generally is development or farming in an area, those are the first things to go, and then your herbivores are competing with livestock. And this area, you could almost say, is in a state of recovery still from those kind of days where we have protected areas that are springing up along the greater Kruger in the sort of general area of Rietspruit. We also don't have really big rivers that would have been strongholds for leopards. That's why we come and we work along the deep sloot and the sun sloot, because they do like drainage lines. But big rivers that have water year round that flow through the Kruger are really good spots for leopards because there's always game there, prey species. Now, we're not short of potential prey on the Rietspruit Game Reserve. There's lots of duikers, lots of Impala, lots of nyala. It's more a fact of getting the animals used to our presence. And that is just something that it takes time. It's a process. It's earning their trust. But I hope that helps. Yeah, Carol, so I'm sure most of the people that are catching...
Hello, mobile, standing by.
Let me just get to Hanno here. Good afternoon, Hanno. I think maybe there's one or two leadwood stations on Blowbank. There's 2 wild dogs at Wild Dog Dam on Kaya. There were 4 rhinos on, I think, Kudu North around Caracal Crossing on Kaya as well earlier this afternoon. I think it's an open lock. And then there were elephants around Seskant Krip, but they were lost moving through thickets in that area, a couple of stations trying to relocate. And then there are tracks of lions on the southern fence line of Blowbank around Mamba Dam, but stations have been unable to locate those animals.
Copy, thanks.
Sorry, Carol. So, yeah, I'm sure most people that have camera traps, I think we're going to leave these baboons and keep our search going. We've got another hour of drive, and I think we're going to have good conditions to potentially find one of these spotty cats that we are talking about, especially driving along the deep sloot here. It's already dark, and with last night's rain, sort of everything's coming together. We just need to find one, which is not so easy. But if there's conditions in summer that lend themselves to finding leopards, I think tonight's a really good chance. But Carol, yeah, I'm sure there's a nyala in here, a male nyala. I'm sure that most of the homeowners are interested and they share their leopard sightings with people that are interested within the sort of homeowner groups. And then from there, I'm sure it will get logged on to Ingwe Research Program's database with Marine. Andrew's sitting here very quietly. He has been quiet for half an hour. I think he's just hoping around every corner that we find one. Yesterday we had the other spotty cat just appear out of nowhere. Maybe tonight we'll get a leopard. Wouldn't that be special? Be even better if we got Antioch female and her 2 cubs. If she's managed to keep those cubs going over the last 6 months. You got them on a camera trap, eh? Not. Just tracks. Tracks when they were little, so high mortality in leopards in the younger age classes. We have seen female leopard tracks along the Antioch Sluit where we were earlier this afternoon and along the deep Sluit here, so I'm sure she's still around. I'm trying to think of where we're going to get the bang for our buck in this area. If we go and drive along Seskant, Kudu Krip area from here, or we try and just work west of the deep Sluit along Royrankies, even back down to Skillum Savannah. What do you reckon, Andrew? You got a little bit, well, a lot more local experience than I do.
Anything I always back that
Kudu Krip area, yeah.
which we've seen less than the hunting side. Well, the female ones, but she's been there.
She's around, we've seen tracks. It's just timing is everything in this game. And also, now that it's quite dark and we've got about an hour in these kind of conditions, it increases our odds, because when you find, kind of sort of touching on the topic of leopard habituation or having shy individuals in a population, that you're trying to get more relaxed with our presence, they're often more relaxed at night. First, they are a little bit more sure of themselves with our presence, their ability to get away. They're more confident at night for some reason, and you can view them a lot better at night before you start viewing them really well during the day. I'm just going to switch that off to navigate this pushed over tree. The Ellies have really been spending time in this part of the reserve. Try and save the camera here as well. There we go. She can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Victoria, can you hear Gary?
Alrighty. I hope I'm back. Sorry about that. I think it's the nature of the deep slits. We're not too far from an exit, so we're going to get out of here now. We're just going to navigate around that tree when we lost connection, so sorry about that. Righty. So, night. So hello everybody. Welcome back. Sorry, technology and drainage lines and cloudy afternoons are not all aligning as we would hope. And that is a bit of a pity, because we did find the big elephant bull, but we had to get out of the drainage line because of the connection issues, as you are all well aware of. So apologies for that. We've decided to come up onto the central parts between the deep sloot and the sand sloot, where we know we have good signal all the time. Hopefully it maintains itself with the storms around. It looks like the mountains have got some big clouds on them. And we'll continue our search for the spotty cat under these good conditions this evening in this area. Maybe we get lucky. It's a pity that the connection is a bit temperamental when we get into the drainage lines, but that's the nature of what we do. Is that empty? That Ellie bull might have come straight from here now and drunk a lot at Seskant Crypt, that it's empty. Thought I got some eyes. So what my plan is, we're going to go and drive along the Sun Slough a little bit from here. Maybe somebody's coming out of the Sun Slough and moving down towards Kudu Krip. And then maybe we'll go down sort of towards Leopard Dam and have a look around there if we don't get anything. This area that we are driving is typically the spot that we get the most leopard sightings. And that's probably just a result of, this is the area that I think gets driven the most by people. But that has its benefits. More people driving around means that the animals that are found in this area, especially a shy animal like the leopards, will get used to vehicles and their presence a lot more than animals where there's lower vehicle densities. So that increases our odds as well. Now there's a scrub hare on the other side there, moving into the thickets. It was sitting on the road until I stopped. How typical. We get out of four-wheel drive now that we're out of the river. It seems like that threat of rain that we had at the start of our drive has completely disappeared. There's a bit of color on the mountains after the sun is set behind us. Whoa. My arm isn't used to holding up a spotlight or a torch for long periods of time. I can already feel it in my shoulder, holding this up, scanning from left to right. It's been a while since I had to use a spotlight constantly. So this evening is going to be a test with an hour of spotlight time with the conditions as they are. It has been a quiet afternoon on the radio. It's almost surprising when you hear a little static come through. Nobody's finding anything on Blowbunk or the whole Rietspruit Game Reserve in general. So I was going to say Rietspruit and Game Reserve at the same time, and I got a little bit of like maybe some honey badger tracks here on the road. We're right up against the Sunsloot River to our east here on the left. So if there is somebody up and mobile in terms of a leopard, or maybe the lions, territorial activities, maybe they'll pop up onto this river or onto this road that runs tongue twisting myself. The road that runs along the river. The clouds have kind of broken up a bit above the mountains there. A little bit of light and some lightning. I'm just going to stop here and switch the light off so you can just see that lightning that is on the horizon. No, Carol, it's not Chloe playing with our connection like yesterday. For those of you that weren't on our drive yesterday evening, Chloe went and pulled out a few cables as she was in FC. Chloe, the Jack Russell that is part of our pack. It's just technology, I think, in the deep slit. Bit of lightning on the other side of the mountains, not too dissimilar to last night when we had lightning coming out from south of the mountain range and then it swung over us later on. Last little bit of light of the sun there setting. So just taking this moment while we are stopped just to listen. Maybe we hear a vocalization, but the wind has also picked up a bit, which means it's a little bit difficult to hear things that are maybe distant. We would have to hope that something was nearby vocalizing. All I can hear are some insects that are surrounding us. Okay, let's keep going. Maybe you'll see the flashes of the lightning behind the mountains. It hasn't really done its thing over the last little bit while we were stopped. But while we drive towards them, keep an eye. Oh, there we go. As we say in it, you can see the lightning. This is what happened last night. I'm wondering if we're in for the same kind of show, because the wind is definitely picking up a little bit. We are going onto a few hot days in a row. There's a weather warning in southern Africa with a big heat wave that is moving through the sort of northern parts of southern Africa, which is impacting the Lowvelds, northern half of Mozambique, sort of the eastern bits of Botswana, and mostly in having a lot of effect in Zimbabwe and Malawi. Temperatures getting into the mid-40s degrees Celsius, which is really hot. And it seems like with that bit of a heat wave, especially here in the Lowveld, and maybe we won't feel the effects of the heat wave as much, because what we typically experience is these clouds coming over sort of mid-afternoon on these really hot days that we've had the last couple of days, and then maybe a little bit of rain, although there's not a lot of rain forecast. Just felt a drop on my finger. Having said that, a few more drops. But this heat wave is said to last for another week, 8 days, which is going to be quite testing on the landscape, especially in areas that have maybe not had as much rain as we've had here. Zimbabwe seems to be going through quite a bad drought. I know parts of Botswana as well, eastern parts of Botswana haven't had a lot of rain, and now these sort of week to 2 weeks of heat wave moving through could really take its toll. What rain has fallen and water that is in the landscape will up quickly and get rain, and then all the new little bit of relief from the dry season of water. More dry condition wave in a week or so. We will get heat with rain every day, or a little bit of rain, cooling effect of clouds building up in the afternoons. Or if we're not going to get much rain and we're going to get the brunt of the heat wave like is forecast in Zimbabwe and Malawi, which are already struggling with drought from the dry season in winter. Okay, nothing there along the sun slit. We'll keep following it a bit, make our way down to Kudu Krip. There are a few more drops, everybody. There's a toad that I'm not going to get on camera, unfortunately. Looked like maybe a red toad. It jumped out across the road in front of us and then off the road. It's almost eerie silent this afternoon. Animals all maybe trying to avoid harsh conditions with the heat, and then the wind building up like it is now, maybe a little bit of rain on the cards. There's big lightning to our south. The radio's quiet. So something's bound to happen. I feel like when the threat of rain is coming for the end of drive and we have to race home to get out of it, is when we end up on the trail of the fairy animal that we've been looking for a little bit over the last half an hour or so. So let's hope it just holds off for another, what, half an hour? I don't have a lot of confidence in that though. There's more and more raindrops falling, everybody. We'll see what we can do. Hopefully we can see out the last half an hour, but I'll just warn you now, we might have to call drive short if the rain does come, unfortunately, just to protect the gear, but we'll try and keep it going for as long as we can. Continue this search on a prime afternoon for a leopard while everything else is quiet. Maybe there's one that's going to give us a bit of a show. What's that? Impalas. If you are new to watching us and you joined on a public YouTube, just what I'm referring to there is if we do get some weather coming in and we get a lot of rain, we're pretty exposed and our technology doesn't do too well in conditions, especially when it starts raining here. It rains pretty hard. And then we just have to close the drive off and get home as quick as possible so that we don't impact our technology. But I think we might have a similar scenario as last night where the wind picks up now. We can finish drive and then the rain comes tonight to keep us all awake with a big electrical storm that seems to be brewing south of the mountains there, just as it did yesterday. Seems like everybody's closing down already. Everybody's going home. You see that big flash of lightning, everybody? Lighting up that southern skyline. Let's see if Kudu Krip's got anything in store for us. And then I think from Kudu Krip we might make our way, instead of going down to Leopard Dam like I said we would a little bit earlier, rather go down to Mamba Dam and see if there's any sign of those lions. Also, in doing that, we're closer to home. Andrew has a bit of an idea where he thinks that those lions may be. So maybe they're around Beerstippat, Hofpad. There's a few Sodic type sites there that they could be on. Often if their tracks disappear in those areas, that's where they like to go and lie up. So slight change of plan and we'll do that. There's an Impala. I just wanted to listen because of the body language of that Impala standing on the road, not looking at us, if there was any alarm calling potentially, but there's nothing. So we'll keep going. We're quite close to Kudu Krip now. I didn't want to just keep going because of the way he was standing there, alert kind of posture. Didn't really look at us when we came around the corner. There's a whole herd of impala here off to the left. We're not going to shine on them too long, but you can see a couple of them. Maybe they're feeling a little bit uneasy because of the storm in the distance, the wind picking up, weather conditions where it's really windy and the light is flashing from lightning and the sky's lit up and then it's dark again. Really unsettles herbivore species. They get a bit disorientated and they move around and run around. It's perfect conditions for carnivores to take advantage of and hunt, and the potential prey species, especially impala, they don't fancy it. One day I'll arrive here and there will be a leopard sitting here somewhere. Yeah, going past, oh, there's a genet. Hello, little genet. Oh. Okay, so there's a genet moving behind this little log here at the moment. You can just see its eyes. I'm going to see if we can get a position where Andrew can try and, oh, it's running off. Unfortunately, it ran off across this open patch. I can still see it, but it's really thick in here now. No, not really going to work, everybody. Sorry. Looks like that genet was missing the end tip of its tail. I think it was a small spotted genet in the old classification. Now, there is an interesting point. There's been some changes to genet classification recently. And it's something that I will go through with you all. When we have a genet in screen, I just got to read up on it, understand it's a little bit better than my current understanding. I've had a brief look at it. I've seen there's been a few changes to classification of genets in southern Africa. So that is an interesting point that we can get into, but I need to do my homework a little bit more before we do talk about that. Those changes to genetics, findings on genets. So we always had the sort of small spotted genet and then the large spotted genet. That was sort of the common understanding. And with a bit of work recently, it seems to have been split into 5 groups. The Mayombo genet, which is found sort of in Mayombo woodlands, Zimbabwe, a little bit into the northern parts of Botswana. The Cape genet, found in the Cape of South Africa. The common genet, which is kind of found all over southern Africa. I'm going to go past Lemendurian Reservoir and then Seskant south towards camp. The rusty genet. And then I'm missing one, I can't think of it right now. That's why I say I need to do a bit of homework, but there's a little bit of a highlight reel, maybe a trailer into what's to come. So the ones that we're likely going to see in this area is the common genet and the rusty, from what I can work out. But that was the lesser, no, what small spotted genet, the one that we just saw. The white tip to the tail, although it was missing that white tip, but the fur had been removed. I don't know if it had a little bit of mange maybe, which is a skin hair follicle disease that animals pick up, particularly in dry periods. So we just come out of the dry season, so it's not uncommon to see that. Where they miss the end of their tail, kind of takes a bit of strain, one of the first areas. You see it in lion cubs quite a bit. You see it in Impala. genet squirrel sometimes, and it always seems to affect the tails mostly of lion cubs and squirrels. So maybe it's a similar thing with the genets. Maybe some more homework for me to do, just an observation. I think there's another impala. When I get eyes reflecting from the spotlight, I get a little bit excited. Then you slowly figure out that it's not a nocturnal species that we can view, it's a diurnal species, the impala. We don't want to shine the light on them and start impacting their eyes and the protein buildup in the eyes that helps them see at night. Especially if we're going to be in for a night of an electrical storm. Okay, Lemendurian Reservoir is coming up now. I might just sit here briefly, just listen again, see if we can hear anything, any vocalization from nocturnal species, lion, leopard, or any alarm calls. Also just check if there's any comments. Yeah, Ariana, I will do a bit of work on that genet stuff. I will do another drive before I go on a safari next week, and maybe I'll share a bit of that information. I think our plan is that Victoria will take Sunday's drive and I'll take Monday's drive before I go on the private trip on Tuesday, and that will in all likelihood be my last drive for the year. So I will do a little bit of work and see if we can get that information to you. I want to obviously present the right information. It is just something I came across recently and I had a quick look at it, but I need to do a bit more digging and share. I will share the article with you if I find something. I just need to check the information properly, do my due diligence. But it's not the first time that I've heard about these changes in genets. A lot of new work being done in sort of Angola has also suggested there's different species, subspecies. It's always a tricky one in genetic conversations, this sort of species, subspecies. Where do we classify it? Same thing that giraffes have been through over the last few years, subspecies, species. So I do want to do a little bit more work on that. I just thought I would share that, seeing the genet. Okay, let's go down, quickly check Lemendurian Krip, and then we'll come back up and go down Seskant, back towards Beersterpad, and just see if there's any sign of the lions where their tracks were lost this afternoon and this morning. They've been lying up in some thicket somewhere, staying out of the heat and the deep shade. And maybe now that it's a little bit later, cooling off quite nicely, especially with this wind, we'll get lucky and come across them. Such a nice game trail that comes in from the south. Always want to check that before the Krip, but there's nothing here. At least this Krip has water, so we know there's nothing wrong with the reservoir, with Seskant Krip being pretty low, which I think is from that bull elephant that we saw in the deep sluit when we had no network. Is the big boy. He might have been there and drained it. If you're an elephant and you can spray yourself with a whole lot of nice water on a hot day like today, you probably would. The roads have taken a little bit of a beating after the rains. A little bit of erosion from the runoff. Usual spots that used to be easy to drive and make the drive smooth for Andrew are not so smooth anymore. Okay, come on lions. Where are you? 2 game drive vehicles this morning and this afternoon have looked for these lions with their trackers and have come up empty-handed, so I wonder where they are. Maybe we'll use local experience as we're getting close to haste to find them with Andrew's experience. There's an eye in there, but I think it's probably a duiker by the way it's nestled into a real thick spot. It's not uncommon for hot days like we're experiencing to make things a little bit slow for game viewing. What is that in front of us? An Impala? Duiker. What is that? And there, I think it's probably a duiker. I don't know if the light's strong enough if this does. Oh, it's a duiker. What? I can hear it's Brent, but I heard nothing. Sorry, Brent, can you... I'm going to turn up my volume on my phone here. I just hear Brent speaking into my ear all the way from Texas, I assume. Hello, Michelle. Williams in Houston, Texas. There we go, I see the comment. Hello, welcome to a safari in Africa in the Lowveld of South Africa. We've got about, 15 minutes of game drive. It's been a really hot day. Give you a little bit of a rundown of what we've had. Some rain threatening on the Drakensberg Mountains to our south. We've had some conversations about leopards. We had some Impalas alarm calling earlier and some baboons, but I think it was internal politics with the baboons along one of our drainage systems. And now we're heading down back towards camp because there were tracks of lions this morning and this afternoon, but guides with their trackers have been unable to find them. So we think that they line up in some thicket somewhere in this area, and we're hoping that as it's got cooler this afternoon with the wind, with this electrical storm that's coming this way, that hopefully these lions will come out onto one of these roads. So that's what we're planning to do. Oh, there's another one of these Genets. But this one looks slightly different to the one earlier. I wonder if it's what was a large spotted Genet. Looks like it. Oh, I don't know, Andrew, if we're going to get it. I don't think so. Sorry, everybody. It's in the long, thick grass in amongst the thickets. That's the thing with the camera versus the spotlight. You can see the eyes and then it disappears quite quickly. It looked like a large spotted Genet from what I saw. Where's the spot the lions like to lie up? Somewhere here, huh? In here. Off quite side. I think what we're going to do, everybody, is we're going to go along here and check these areas along Hoofpad, see if there's any sign of these lions, and then maybe go to Mamba Dam. Maybe they've decided to get up a little bit late because of the heat today and make their way down there for a drink. There's not a lot of water across the landscape because of the last few hot days. It seems to have dried up a little bit. So Mamba Dam is not far, and it is kind of where the tracks have been seen this morning and this afternoon, going east and west along that southern fence line near Mamba Dam, and then there might be lying in the deep shade in the deep slurts behind Mamba Dam. Maybe now that it's cooling down and there's the wind, they'll come out and lie in the open by the dam or on the road here somewhere. If those reports are correct. Is that another Genet? It is. Ooh, going up the tree, and we've seen the Genets, but they don't want to be on cameras. Ducking out of the way. I remember the last time, I think it was it was a long time ago actually, but the last time we had lions in this area and they weren't found, and then they were found in this exact spot that Andrew's been telling me about. So I do recall it. And what they did from that little spot that they had spent the day, they went and drank from Mamba Dam, and then they entered camp and they went and drank from, I think one of the females drank from Critter Camp. Been hit by a few cicadas here, and I can tell you they're cicadas because they hit my hand, land on the seat behind me next to Andrew, and they do their little squeaky type of call. I think there's one in the footwell next to me as they're trying to fly and find their wings again after hitting the object that is us. Oh, there's some impalas. Obviously don't want to put the light on them. Yeah, we're going to go a couple hundred meters up this road and see if there's any sign of the lions. Just want to check if there's any tracks on the road here. I can't see anything on the vehicle tracks that I assume were from the guides looking in this area this afternoon. There's a bit of water there, still in a mitre drain. Mitre drain is a way that we get water to move off of roads. It's part of road management. Just a little drain that drains the water. It's often accompanied by a little bolster. So those are kind of spots that you expect after maybe 5 mils of rain to see. There's some eyes in here, is it? Maybe a duiker. Yeah. it's a duiker. One of the usual customers on Rietspruit. Yeah. There's no tracks on this road. This is where we were hoping that maybe that we would find some tracks. I think, well, we've still got a bit of time. Let's turn around here, because if they're in these thickets, we're not going to have much luck. Let's check at Mamba Dam, where it's nice and open, a lot of water. Their tracks were on the fence line. Guys didn't say there was anything on hoof butts, so let's check. Maybe they've come out and they're at the dam. This is what happens when you got high temperatures. The animals come out to play a little bit later on at night when things have cooled off a bit. Especially the animals that are more inclined to be active at dawn and dusk, like our lions and leopards, hyenas. They're trying to conserve as much energy as possible, lying in deep shade, and just rather wait for it to cool down a lot at night before they get active and start using up energy searching for food, rather than moving around while it's still warm. And it's even more pronounced at the moment because of this heat wave coming through southern Africa that we were chatting about a little bit earlier. So hopefully these lions, if they are still in this area, have come to the dam. We're about a couple of minutes away, just going through the deep slits. And these are the big trees that would have provided nice deep shade for these lions. There's nobody here. Yeah, I think I'll go on this new road. I don't know what that road's like after the rain, that little track. Oh, that track there. Yeah, okay, so we'll go on this little track here to the Hayes airstrip and just check the fence line. There's nothing here at Mamba Dam. Oh. The rains didn't do that little bit of any good. All that was in the dam was an Egyptian goose that flew off when we got nearby. My shoulders really started to feel holding the spotlight up. Starting to get a bit of a burn here. It's been a while since I've spotlighted for an hour. Oh, there's something, there's eyes there. Where, oh. Did you see the eyes? It ran left off the road. I think it was actually something small. I got the shadow from these little forbs that have grown. It's two duikers. I thought it was something bigger. Two common duikers here. That's the eyes that we got. And we'll pop down to the fence and just have a quick scan left and right. Let's see if there's anything here on the airstrip. There's some more impalas that side. Enjoying the open nature of the airstrip with these conditions, I'm sure. A bit windy out here. The storm coming. And then let's just check along the fence if we get any kind of eye shine. There's nothing down to the east. I did see something to the west, so we'll just check what this is. But there's something here. Maybe it's a darker, but it could be something. It's a darker. A little darker there in the spotlight. You can see it briefly. It's back there as it's moving off. We don't want to shine the light on it for too long. But everybody, that's brought us to the end of this safari this afternoon. Something that I must quickly mention before we depart is this week's keyword is water level, and it's a photograph of a hippopotamus that Andrew took. So if you'd like to get your hands on that and you're one of our pack members, just send water level to info@paintedog.tv, and then we'll send that image to you on Monday next week. But from all of us here on the Rietspruit Game Reserve and the Painted Dog Pack, we hope you had a great afternoon with us. For some of you it's morning, and I hope you have a great Friday and enjoy your weekend. We'll see you again on Sunday afternoon. Cheers for now.